Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is again another episode of 1804 History. And before I start, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the 1804 show, chapter 2. Now let's get it. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Dr. King. I wanted to talk about the time when he had went to prison. And it's just a lot of people don't know about everything that this man has endured and he went through its entirely of 39 years on planet Earth before he was assassinated. But he pretty much went through a lot of hell. He went through a lot of scrutiny, just making sure colored people back then had rights. And the right to vote is a privilege. And this generation don't have to endure segregation. Don't have to endure the open. When I say open, I mean openly racism that was in America at this time. But the 60s were so much turmoil and devastation. And it was the decade of change. And he was in the forefront of it. Because I would say, like in the 50s, he was just being a minister. He was just being a pastor at his father's family's church. So he really became the catalyst of it all, the forefront, the captain of, even though it was like more people, but he was the face of it. And this would put him as the most hated Negro or the dangerous Negro of the country, and got on FBI J. Edgar Hoover wanted list basically. But he was practically just doing what he do. He was leading demonstrations in Birmingham, and the local sheriff at the time, Bull Connor. And a lot of people think Donald Trump was bad, but Bull Connor was the devil. He was uh, like a sadist, basically, and he the one that like sick dogs on people and sprayed water hose on those kids. He was the evil, narcissistic bully, and just always had this disdain for black people. And Birmingham was one of the most dangerous cities in America. I would say in the civil rights movement, it was like Judgment Day. And Dr. King knew what he was up against, just going against a sheriff like that, going against a man like that. But he just felt like he needed to start there in order for his nonviolent approach to be in effect. But it was on Easter Sunday, April of 1963, when he was leading a demonstration, ended up being arrested for disturbing the peace and not just not I guess obeying officers' requests, or it was just like a lot of falsified charges, but they had led him to jail for that. He was in jail for a minute, so they was trying to get him locked up for years, and they had him in the county jail. and not treating him right. They was beating on him. They was not feeding him. So it was just a lot of stuff, making threats on his life. They even put him in the back of a police wagon so he can get the dogs sicked on him and everything. So it was just like a whole lot of things that they was doing to try to scare him, to try to send a message out. So apparently, um, John F. Kennedy found out on TV about this, and he called his wife Coretta Scott King, and he said that I'm working nonstop to try to get your husband free from jail and stuff like that. So eventually he was pardoned by the president. Well, yeah, the president. He was pardoned and he was grateful and he was happy to be out because this time they was really mistreating him. They really was giving him the business in there. But it just kills me how our people, our black people, like to disrespect our icons and disrespect what they stood for and disrespect the work that they put in when they ain't put in no work, they ain't put in no hours of liberating our people. It's just really sad when you go look at some of the stuff that they used to say about him. They should say that he was a terrorist or he was a communist and he was Uncle Tom, and it just it just really kills me. Like I just think that once you really realize the pressure, the everyday pressure a man's or a person is on, like, and still didn't make any excuses. Like he went full 110% every day of his life. And not saying that he didn't have no good moments in his life, you know what I'm saying? Like he just was one of those people that knew what he had to do because nobody else had the charisma or had the passion to do it. Because you see, even the people that took over after he died, it's the SCLC wasn't never the same. Like, and and I mean that with the most respect, utmost respect, because I don't want to disrespect Ralph Abernathy, but it just wasn't the same after he was assassinated. But it just you have people who just haven't read a book or who haven't really did their research and just be very disrespectful and hateful. And even though he wasn't the only one that we should show our appreciation to, sorry, can't even talk tonight. I'm tired, y'all. Forgive me, but it's just one of those people that just haven't done their research or haven't um really studied a person, but yet they like to paint out or put out false false opinions. Just because it's your opinion doesn't make it facts. And like he really was dealing with a whole lot. He was dealing with the whole country everywhere he went. Like it was threats, it was violence. He saw people get killed in front of him. And I'm gonna do an episode on the time he went to Chicago. When he came to Chicago, he said that it was way worse than anything that he ever faced in the South. So I'm gonna make sure to do that one and make sure that you guys understand just how bad it was back then. Because, we have all these things, like we're very privileged. We are very well off compared to how things were. Even when we are hungry, we can either go out to eat or we can have Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub bring it to us. Um, we have the liberty of getting in a car or calling an Uber or calling a hood Uber to give us transportation. But back in the days, um, you couldn't just be traveling out like that. There was a green book that was presented for African American travelers where you could stay the night at a safe spot or just um, during the day. So it was just those things right there, like we take for granted and we don't understand it because this generation wasn't considered colored or this generation wasn't considered a Negro. But it'd be the same descendants of those people making false claims and false allegations. Like, regardless of what he did in his personal life, this man made sure that you will have a better future, that you can live and that you can do and have the same liberties as other people. No one's perfect, man, and that's what I be telling people. Like, he never asked to be perfect. He never, he ain't never begged anybody to say he was either. Like he was a minister. And I just think that a lot of people put high expectations on human beings because if you put expectations on anybody, you're going to fail. They're going to always fail you because whatever image or whatever portrayal that you paint in your head about an individual doesn't always match or it don't go well on the canvas. Sometimes you just got to understand like these people human. He was a human being. I worship no man. I worship God. I worship Yah. I worship the Most High. I don't worship any human being because people fake all day or whatever they got going on, that's between them. But we got to stop letting people disrespect our American icons like that. Because whether you like it or not, he's immortal. He's iconic. He's a monster. You know what I'm saying? So we got to stop putting high expectations on human beings. Like, we going to fail every day. We going to be disappointed, especially when you find out who they are and what they done. Because everybody has dirt. Everybody has sin. But you got people that sin the most throwing stones at glass houses, which is totally hypocritical. And I just think that we can be better than that. The man been dead longer than he has lived. But to have such a short life, he made a huge impact. He made a huge contribution to the world because he allowed us to see that you can have more opportunities. People make it seem like, well, we was better segregated. Yes and no. The only best thing about us when we was segregated was the fact that we was together. You know what I'm saying? We stuck by each other. Integration was to help us, I would say financially, but we had a whole lot of black owned businesses. We had a a whole bunch of black-owned communities that was flourishing, that was profitable, that kept the black dollar in the community. But every time when we had those, they burned it down. They, and destroyed it. So apparently, um, I ain't gonna say that there's no black neighborhoods or no black businesses or no black communities, but back then it was really hard to have that, especially in Birmingham, Alabama, because of the fact that, the police were the Klan. So judges was the Klan. So it was open season on anybody, and they can get away with it. So people just be talking shit about, well, that couldn't be me, or I wouldn't go along with that. Of course not, because you won't make it. You won't survive. Oh, thank y'all. Whoever sent the star. I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, we just take stuff for granted, and I can imagine being locked up, especially for some bullshit, but to be a fear for my life. Like, he was even treated as an inmate. He was treated as someone who were pretty much fresh meat, who was easy target. So we just have to keep in mind, like, this was Dr. King. This was the most hated man in the country while he was alive. But they love him now. But when he was alive, they hated him. Go back and read the newspapers. Go back and watch the news footage. They hated this man. Like, they just took Dr. King from us and just really gave him a reciprocation of, I have a dream and that's it. But Dr. King said way more than I have a dream. Even during the speech, he dropped that the Negro is in exile in his own land. And Dr. King were becoming political, militant. They don't understand that. They don't know that. Like, so that's why I just be laughing at certain people or certain individuals, because they have no idea what this man stood for and what he and how he was coming. But he was just coming to get that check, to get what was owed to us, to get our reparations, because we deserve our reparations because we built America. We was already here, and he said that in one of his speeches before the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth. We was here before Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. We were here. He was at a university. I forget which university, don't quote me on it, but the last 2 years of his life, he was on something. You know what I'm saying? He woke up and realized that they was using us, that they was benefiting and profiting off of us. He realized that he was a pawn. Then the moment that he spoke against the war in Vietnam, that's when he became public enemy number one. That's when he had to die. That's when he had to get killed. But other than that, he was a brave man. He knew he was going to die the night before it happened. He knew it. That's why he said, I will not get there with you. So he knew something was going to happen, but he didn't know who was all in on it. The people that was there. And it's funny because the ops is always next to you. The ops is always in your circle. The people that you trust the most is always your ops. It's not somebody that's on the outside. You know what I'm saying? It's always somebody in the inside. They always use inside people. You know what I'm saying? You can apply this to the hood. You can apply this to streets. That the ops is always there. The ops is always someone that you trusted or somebody you trust with your life. And this is why I'm always by myself, because even I, I have a lot of people that I know and this and that. I prefer to be by myself because you just never know who's plotting on you. And they was plotting on this man. So, but yeah, guys, that will end the episode. Hope you guys like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell for future episodes. And my Cash App, if you want to donate, is $ the 1804 show. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.